but this is the book, and it shows like you can use the technologies that we use to do monitoring, and the two popular projects are Prometheus and Grafana. Prometheus is a time series database where like we put the metrics information in it, and then Grafana is a program to create dashboards. We're using that data from Prometheus. It's one use case, but one thing that I want to highlight that maybe people are not aware, I wasn't aware first time I used Grafana for the first time, was Grafana can connect to many things, including doing SQL queries. And I think I learned that from this book when I read it back then. So Grafana can connect to multiple type of data sources, but the book talks about like using a sensor. Mosquito is I think I used Mosquito in the past. It's a program related to MQTT to collect information on it. And the book author goes on the process of like using Mosquito weather data to store it in Redis. So he installs Redis and then installs the sensor data that is collecting the information and putting it there, and then installs Prometheus. So these are like the topics that the data will be pushed or the metrics will be collected. And it gets to a point that installs Prometheus. If you want Prometheus, if you want to learn Prometheus like the bare minimum, you can run Prometheus even from Docker. Like it's a single like binary that you run. It needs like a folder, right, to put the information. Like that, it's a database. It's a file system database, so it's not block device. And then by itself, if you don't give it any configuration, it would do nothing, right? But it will run. It will run on Docker. The second thing you will have to do that you see down here is give monitoring jobs. So that's how you configure Prometheus, saying like, hey, you're a database, and also you are like a program that you launch jobs that run every X amount of time to collect the metrics. So that's the act of scraping. But if you want to like debug or learn Prometheus from scratch, you can just run Prometheus in one container, and it has the database, the job engine, and then a UI in one binary, which is very, very simple to get started. In here, as you can see, the image is Prometheus. The time series database that you see here at the bottom, it specifies like how long do you want to keep the data. So the book author set it up here, 12 hours. And then this piece of information here, the volume mounts, is like where's the files going to persist. Like if you delete the pod, right, or you want to persist the data, you put it here in this configuration. As you notice, where is it storing the information? Anyone can tell? Or it's like too small, I guess. Where is it? Where is it storing this information here?
On the pod itself?
No, on the node itself, in a empty volume.
It says empty there. What is empty there?
It's a volume on the node where the pod is running.
Yeah. So what happens when I delete the pod?
You lose the data.
Exactly. So this is a something to run a container. Like you run a container in your Docker with Docker in your CLI, or I think Finch also, right? NerdCTL, you can create a volume, and if you want to persist the data, right, you will have to like manage the data like any other database. So yeah, it will store it there. And then the UI will come up, and then you'll be able to see this. These are, if you go to targets are not called jobs, but they're the jobs. I don't know what they're called targets, but anyway, engineers and naming things. But the targets is where you're going to see the jobs that is the target's kind. You're going to go to in this case, an HTTP, and do a HTTP request. I think it's a GET, right? Most of the time it's a GET. You do a GET against this endpoint, and then comes back this. It's not JSON, but it's like text data formatted like in lines with information, like historic information, summary, gauge, counter, and then that's the information that gets into Prometheus. So and then this, he goes over explaining how he's getting that data from the devices into it. And then the second part is Grafana. So installing Grafana. Grafana again is a single pod, single container, and then the configuration of Grafana is here's a data source where you're going to get your information. So in this use case, you have to give it the Prometheus. So you can see there at the bottom it says name is Prometheus, and this is where it's going to get the information. And then the second thing is the dashboards, but I think the dashboards you can load it to a config map, config string. There's an operator for Grafana that you can create a CRD. There's an operator for Prometheus that you can create the dashboards and the data sources. But Grafana here, let me look at it. It's Grafana, as you can see top here. That's the image. Volume mounts for Grafana storage. I don't know if Grafana needs a lot of storage. I don't think so. For the most part, like the biggest data consumption will be Prometheus. And then the data sources is a folder, and I think those are those JSON files sitting there, or just YAML files. And that's it. Let's see a demo. You want to see a demo?
Sure.
So let me. Today I was playing with the Jetson Nano, and what I did was I was like trying to install Prometheus and Grafana. There's many ways to install Prometheus and Grafana. Most of the time, what people lately doing is install two operators or two controllers for Grafana and Prometheus, and then you create Kubernetes CRs, and then that creates that. One tool that I'm going to show is a very cool tool called Robusta. So Robusta has a free tier. I was testing it out to the Jetson to see what's like. I heard that they included the Prometheus and Grafana and like installed it by default. So I said like, well, let me install Robusta and then I get Grafana and Prometheus with that. So what I did was the installation process. They have a Helm chart. So I did a Helm chart. So the same way you would do install the Helm chart of Prometheus, Helm chart of Grafana, this one installs a little thing for Robusta. And I
can you zoom in a little bit more?
let me zoom in the browser.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So is that good?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I installed the Grafana, but I pass a values.yaml file, and the values.yaml file is basically I log in with my, I think was Google account, and I was able to get a free account. So this system has a free account that you get. So for example, I click here, and then you get a YAML file. I guess it's a token that you get back, and install it. So let's go to VS Code. So I was able to get an account for this, and then this is online, right? It's robusta.dev, and now my Jetson is showing up here the information about it, things that are going wrong, the notes, but just to show you what's happening in the Jetson. So I got an account, a free account with this thing. Got the YAML file that has the token, and installed the in my Jetson. in here I did the Helm install, and the first issue that I hit in the Jetson, who wants to guess what was the issue? Prometheus didn't work. Just guess.
Database overload?
No, like the pods were pending. I installed Prometheus, and Prometheus was pending. Also Alert Manager. It also has Alert Manager, so you can see here. Where's Prometheus? I have Prometheus here. Here's Prometheus. I don't know if you can. Do I make this bigger? Or that's okay. So Prometheus was pending, and Alert Manager was pending. No guesses?
It may be tainted basically for you need to untaint the nodes, or maybe the CPU memory request.
Yeah, that could be the first one issue. No, I had the request and limits for Prometheus was not that high, so that could be an issue of like I don't have in CPU or memory for the request that this thing is asking. So let's take a look on what are the things that I was. So basically, the pending was I didn't have it created PVCs and I didn't have storage volume because I didn't install a CSI driver right on Jetson, because this is my Jetson. It's like one device. I didn't install it. So when I did get PV, I had the Olama, right? The ChatGPT, the Olama thing, but I didn't have one for Alert Manager and Prometheus. So if you're doing this in your Raspberry Pi, just for you to see, you will see that it's pending. Same trick that I did for Olama, right? I went into, I created a volume and mounted to a file, and I use host path. As obviously not you want to do in production Kubernetes, but this is like a little device in my house, right? And I'm hacking things and learning. It's not production. So I created a PV for Prometheus and then one for Alert Manager. So Alert Manager is the component in the Prometheus project that is used for like sending alerts. So Prometheus doesn't send alerts. Alert Manager is the program or the pod that sends an alert, which is optional. You don't need to have that if you just want Prometheus. But I created one for Prometheus, and the PVC. If I get PVC Prometheus-o YAML dash o YAML. So this PVC was asking for read write once. It was asking for 100 gigs of storage, and I created ones like the one I did for Olama. I created a PV. I said 100 gigs. The read write mode that was asking was read write once, so I just read write once. And then the host path, I put into my home directory, C Santana and Prometheus data. Then I tried, it didn't work. Who wants to guess why it didn't work? So it didn't work because Prometheus, when Prometheus created their PVC, they don't know what is the storage class that is going to be used. So they leave the storage class out, assuming that you have a provisioner, right? That will provision the PV. Like normally you will have this in your Kubernetes. If you have the CSI driver or you're using the cloud, like you don't specify, you don't hard code the storage class name, right? So in this case, I added into the PVC the storage class name to match the storage class name that I was putting here. Once I did that, then it worked because I put the 100 gig here. Alert Manager was asking for 10 gigs, so I did 10 gigs for Alert Manager, and the same thing, I notated that. And with that, yeah, everything came up. So it's Prometheus came up, Alert Manager came up. Grafana was not, I guess Grafana, that's why I was saying Grafana doesn't need storage. It was not using storage. So let me show you something else. So if I do get CRDs, what would I see there? Notice something here interesting. So it has Prometheus CRDs, and that's because I have the Prometheus operator or controller running. So it added this, what is the date? So it added this two for Alert Manager. It added this one for Prometheus monitor service, probes monitor. There should be a service monitor here somewhere at the bottom. Service monitor and Thanos rules. So that came from the Prometheus. And I'm going to guess that the Grafana is not using Grafana operator and it's just using normal Grafana. Where is Grafana here? Here. So Grafana, there's nothing else with Grafana. So if I get pods / grep Grafana, there's only one pod. So there's no controller for Grafana, but there's an operator for Grafana. So you can install it with that. And let me see what else it is. So yeah, I installed this and Prometheus is up. If we want to access Prometheus, what shall we do? We can do kget service, right? There should be something called Prometheus here, which is I think it's 9,000 something. So how do I access this 9090 port? What could be a way I can access that? Prometheus UI.
Port forward?
Yeah, port forward. I don't know if there's a password. Service, right? And then I put the name of the service. And I always like to keep forward with service. And keep forward. And then my port will be 9090, right? Its port will be 9090. And if I run this, it says there's no port 9090. Oh, wait, like that, right? And then since this is running on my Jetson port, on my Jetson, oh, it says already in use. Oh, yes. This is, I'm using Kubernetes. Yeah, so let's run a different one. Let's run 9091. No service. Oh, wait. So the first one is, I had the opposite, right? Is the first one the target and the other one is the one in my computer? It didn't work this time. Why it's not working? Let me see. Why is it not working? It's 9090, right? So it looks like it worked. Oh, do I need the semicolon to make this work? Wondering.
Maybe
Anyway.
column, not semicolon.
Let me see. 1 second.
I mean colon.
Column, yeah. It's column. That's why. So sorry about that. So 9090 on the local computer, right? The target is 9090, which is essentially if you don't put a column, it will do both. So it's listening on 9090. I need to do an export already. It's already doing an export. Let me see if this opens. And this is in my computer. And since I'm using, you already know that I'm using VS Code because of the connecting into my Jetson, my device here. And then using ports to do port forward from the Jetson into my computer. So this is super, super handy to do development. So it's up. And in here is where we can get what the targets. Was it here? As you can see, it came out of the box. This is what I wanted to have. Like, I didn't want to write the jobs YAML. So this Robusta already have like the default Kubernetes jobs to scrape pods and things like that. So if you see up everywhere, it is scraping. It looks like there's some problems scraping some pods. Connection refuse. but for the most part, everything is up, and this is Prometheus. Alerts, this is connected to Alert Manager, so it knows about Alert Manager and the things that you have configured. So in this case, you can see here that that's already firing alerts saying etcd member down, and the reason is because I'm running Kubernetes with kubeadm, and I configure with one node because I have one Jetson. For example, these insufficient members, right? So it's already firing alerts, so that's something that you can do in there. If you want to do graphs, you can see the metrics that it's already collecting. I always use Grafana. It's been a while since I've done Prometheus. So if you type something here, it would auto-complete the PromQL. So this is a PromQL. This is the language that Prometheus uses. If you're not sure how to write a Prometheus query, what will be the 2024 answer to like come up with a query? Anyone?
I'm sorry, Datadog.
Datadog? But yeah, I want to write a Prometheus.
No. I know. I got so stuck on Prometheus queries and the gap between my ability to write queries and what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
The answer was Datadog.
Yep. No, you're not alone, Jack. Not every. This is like asking someone, "Hey, can you write me assembly language right now?" Right? Like, and it's something that you don't do often. You have to go by templates, by examples, or we can use the AI assistant that I have running in the Jetson, right? So that's what I did. I said to the Jetson, "Hey, give me a PromQL to get the CPU utilization of pods," right? So this is what people are actually doing. They're using Gen AI to help write PromQL, right? This is like the chat interface, right? But there's more advanced ways of doing this. So in this case, I asked like, give me a PromQL to get the CPU utilization of pods. And it gave me something like the average node CPU usage seconds total, right? So it's assuming that I have this metric. That's what first thing that I can do, like check if I have this metric. Right? So I can put it here and it looks like I don't have anything with node. Wait. Yeah, I have node. I don't know why. Copy pasting didn't work, right? So it was no CPU usage, node, CPU. Yeah, so it's there. If I can type CPU, it looks like there's no CPU frequency, gas, utilization, no CPU utilization rate 5 minutes. So this one is a good query. What's another one? Yeah, first time I was running learning Prometheus. I spent some time just experimenting with the UI, crafting and that's what I do. I think others also do this. I don't go directly to Grafana. I try to like process if I can get like data here first, and if it shows up here, then I have more confidence that when I go to Grafana and write the Grafana queries, I get the information that I see. If I don't get the information there, then it's maybe I made a mistake over there. But if I get the information here, it should be there. So for example, right, these are the metrics for node CPU seconds. And this is like the bare minimum that you can do. Then you can do a graph and do an average. So if you're getting data, just to summarize, to get Prometheus running, right, in Kubernetes, you can use the Helm chart operator. Second thing is double check that you have the targets, jobs that are green. Next thing is going to graphs, double check that you're actually getting data. And then you can graph data. And more than that, you can do like ChatGPT may give you something to put in here, or not ChatGPT. I'm using Olama, right? So this is running on there. So I don't know if I put this one here.
Isn't this PromQL?
Sorry?
Isn't this PromQL, the Prometheus query language?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
PromQL is the Prometheus query language.
Yeah.
Exactly. And those are the queries that you put here. Or if you write a Python program, right, and query things. One use case that I can share is this week I was talking to an end user that I work with, that I help with, and they're using Prometheus from Argo CD. So what they do is they have a post job sync job in Argo CD. So when a component gets deployed, one of the hundreds of components that the Argo CD deploys, there's a job that runs for that component in Argo CD that runs a little Python script that goes into Prometheus and checks that this component and the components that this component depends on is healthy, and there's no SAVs and there's no alerts, there's no issues. And then it marks in Argo CD that this component is successfully completely deployed. If not, it will mark it out of sync or red, and then that information populates back to Prometheus and then alerts an admin.
So Prometheus alerts itself is not healthy. Is that what it's doing in Argo CD?
In Argo CD, it's just checking that checking metrics to see if this component is working, for example, right? Successfully, or check that also can have a pre-sync job that says like, do not go forward until my dependencies are met, and my dependencies are met when its metrics are healthy, right? So it's a little bit more advanced use cases. Just one. That's just a recent discussion I had around Prometheus, right? Usage. But yeah, this is the information that you get here. In this case, if we say execute, does it work? If I put this here, no, because I think that's not the. I think pod name might not be the thing. But yeah, usually what I do is, I think this thing can do. I know that when you start typing here, it's very, very knowledgeable. So like this, right? You can do, and then you can do like this. So it wasn't pod name, is pod. That's why the problem was, right? So if I want to get CPU totals for a pod equals, like, see how the thing is like tilde. How's the tilde doing? Tilde and then the string. So I can put like and it found one, right? So it already knows it has this, and then I can do execute, and I get that, and then I can wrap it with what's it, average, average, right? It has average inter. That's the average multiplied by 100, right? And that's a graph. There you go. Easy peasy, right? So that's basically how I was when I was learning Prometheus. I don't know, many years ago. This is how I started. Like Prometheus basic scraping. Do I have metrics? And then using the autocomplete a lot. I don't know why copy paste doesn't work, but if you start typing, the autocomplete in this PromQL, it works. So if you can see, right, it was almost I can put something like, doesn't have to be Prometheus. I think I can put just Robusta and execute. Let me see if that works. Yeah, I think that's the error from ChatGPT. I think you need to put maybe star here. I don't know. We can debug it, but yeah, if I put the pod equals like that, it worked. So moving along, the last thing I wanted to show before we run out of time was Grafana. So if we go to Grafana, let's kill this one. And if I do, I think I was already doing a Grafana. I don't think I have it running somewhere. Let me see. Nope. And do I have it here? Okay, so Grafana, I already have it working. So I did port forward Grafana on 8083 on port 80. So I need to go to localhost port 8083, which should be here. And if I open it, this is Grafana. And if you want to know the username and password, I did that. It's a secret called Grafana that somewhere. Anyway, it's a secret that I got. It was admin and then operator Grafana. I think it was the password, username and password. I got in, and the cool thing to Grafana is you can go to dashboards, and these dashboards, you can add a dashboard. You can do import dashboard, and then you can like upload a JSON file that you like customize and download. You can copy paste the JSON file here, or you can go to a registry online on grafana.com, and there's like many dashboards that the community shares, and you search for a dashboard here. So if I search for, like, I don't know, Argo CD, I think I updated this one. The only thing that you need from here is like a unique ID. So if you copy this to the clipboard and you go to Grafana, put this number here, load it up, import. Now I don't have Argo CD installed here, but it's there. But if you go back to dashboard, when I installed with Robusta, it included all the Kubernetes dashboard. So if I want to see the compute resources for the pods, for example, I can come here and I can see this information here in Grafana. And other dashboards will be network, right? Network per namespaces. So which pods, kubeproxy and core DNS are heavily using network. So yeah, you can also that Grafana supports alerting, so it can alert to. I've done it in production, like email and other types of alerting, but you can also do it with Alert Manager. And I was doing it with this tool called Robusta. So I installed Robusta and it asked me to connect it to a Slack. So I connected to the Slack, and when I first installed, there was some issues here. So if I look at the apps, there was 2 issues here at the top that happened in etcd insufficient members. So remember, this came from Alert Manager through Prometheus. So I can see it here, the timeline of these issues that have happened here. So there's 3 events, crash, loop, back off. And I can see this information here. It's just a UI. It's the same information that you will see in Alert Manager. If I want to see the nodes, CPU utilization, this is kind of the same information that I saw in Grafana. But again, all that source information comes into Prometheus. And then alerting here, we can see the alerts here that have happened in this Kubernetes since I updated today. And I connected it to Slack. I don't know where the Slack configuration is. But I connected it to Slack. And if I open Slack, here is a new Slack workspace I created today. I call it Cube DevOps. I connected it to this channel, and then you can see here, Robusta is the one sending, it's a webhook, right? Sending information here, and you can say investigate, configure silences of the jobs. Like Prometheus was down because of the PVC. Those are the first thing that happened, right? And then Popeye is a CLI utility to scan the project, and it was failing because the container is not ARM64, it's AMD64. But yeah, I can click in here, and then it will take me into this thing. So any questions before we end? At least I gave a little bit of overview of like the 2 tools.
So what's new for me is Robusta. I gotta go study that.
It's one of the many tools. Like you mentioned Datadog, also like it's one of those online tools. This one I used it because I knew they had a free tier. So to play around, I just
Yeah, I'll go
install it.
take a look. I'll go take a look at Robusta. But I want to work on. I want to work on Contour and Envoy more.
Yep.
But yeah, I like the learning about that. So Robusta is not a dependency. You don't have to have Prometheus and Grafana installed to use Robusta, right? Robusta stands alone.
Robusta, in this case, Robusta needs Prometheus, so either you have to have it already installed or they install it for
Okay,
you.
okay.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I have the dependency. Yeah. So whenever something new comes up that has lots of dependencies,
Yep.
it's put in the category of hard to do.
Yeah, and I choose this one because I knew that they install it by default. You don't have it, so I choose the option of like give me the Helm chart that has everything. It has the Kubernetes dashboard.
Yeah.
It came with everything there. And the thing that I was going to say, like this, I didn't show this, but if you want to edit these dashboards, right? There's at the end of the day, these dashboards are doing PromQL queries, and then you can modify the queries depending on the dashboard that you're working on. So
Right.
I don't know. There should be an edit. Maybe I'm logging in with no edit access. But if you edit one of these dashboards, maybe it's this one. I'm trying to remember. There should be an edit here. There you go. So now you recognize something here. See here it says I rate container network received byte totals. This is PromQLs.
Mhm.
The other aspects of it is what you want to show, right? Group left, all these things. And again, if you don't know much about this, also you can get Gen AI help. I talked the chat. Another question say here, give me the query to use in Grafana to have the information about this pod utilization over time. And it showed me like how to create a Grafana and then the query that to put in Grafana. So yeah, it could be useful for that also to learn about how to work with Grafana. But yeah, what most people do is they start from a working dashboard, tweak it a little bit, save it, and then extract this dashboard back as JSON, so you can like save it in Git and then use it again and again and again. So that's the workflow for Grafana. I can apply it here if I make a change. I didn't read the chat. If there's any questions.